A night vigil is coming to an end in Melville in memory of the victims of the drive-by shooting on New Year's Day. 2 people were killed in the drive-by in the early hours of the morning outside a restaurant in the popular Johannesburg suburb. 6 others are recovering in hospital. Let's get more on the story. SABC reporter Hasina Gori joins us live from Melville. Hasina, good evening. What's the latest?
Good evening, Nzinga. Yes, quite an emotional and heartbreaking evening here in Melville on the popular 7th Street, as many patrons as well as revelers who were here on that fateful evening have come out to lay condolences and remember those who were affected by this incident. On the early hours of New Year's morning, a drive-by shooting occurred which left 2 people dead, which are 2 women from what we understand. One is a Johannesburg woman, the other it's unknown who exactly she was at this moment. Police have not yet identified the victims. 6 people remain in hospital, 2 in a critical condition. From what we understand, one is popular actor as well as a car guard, and we also understand the 3rd person was a journalist. Most of them are in a stable condition, 2 remain in a critical condition. But we here this evening at the night vigil where people have come out to sing, to pray together as well as show support. And with me right now is the initiator of this event tonight, EMMANUEL. Thank you so much for speaking to us. I want to know what prompted you to start this initiative and create this visual tonight.
Well, I was on the scene in the early hours of New Year's, and I witnessed the horrific scene afterwards. And I think yesterday when I went home, I live in Melville, I practice in Melville, I work in Melville, so it felt to me like, you know, this came home. They brought this was brought to our doorstep, and I think a lot of Melville, not just Melville residents, but Johannesburg residents, South Africans tonight, what I could see also here with a lot of the people that came out, it's not just Melville residents, it's not just West End residents, it's people as far as Fourways have come out. And I think something about this specific crime and what has happened here is resonating with people, because I think because it was so random. It was such a random, cruel act of violence that could potentially have happened to anyone. I mean, and it's not just necessarily Melville related. And my feeling yesterday was when I was looking at social media, I saw that the response was very negative. People were trying to find blame. People weren't really addressing that. You know, families have lost loved ones. Families are grieving. There are victims in hospital. There is a restaurant owner who is very traumatized by what's happened here, and I just felt that we needed to make something positive from this. It doesn't help to to blame and to find fault, but to find also a way to heal a wound that has been opened, and this opened a huge wound for Melville yesterday. And I think my feeling was we needed to do something to bring Melville together, but also to bring people to say we're not going to allow these criminals to scare us, to let us hide away in our houses behind high walls, to say that we will come out, we will come back to 7th. Melville is such a vibrant and lively and diverse suburb of people, and we can't allow them to spoil that for us. We can't allow them to steal that from us, to steal the joy from us.
You were here on that evening, not necessarily at the restaurant, but on the street. Can you describe the scenes you saw when you got here?
Well, it was very traumatic. As you can imagine, lots of ambulances, police, paramedics. When I arrived on the scene, my colleague and myself tried to see if we could speak to the families to assist them. 2 of the victims were being resuscitated at the time. But a lot of chaos, a lot of people around, a lot of people traumatized by what they were seeing. I could see a lot of people crying, a lot of people quite frantic, quite a frantic situation unfolding. And I think that was very traumatizing for everyone.
As someone that lives in Melville, you've mentioned this was one step to try and reclaim this space and not allow criminals to force people away from enjoying this vibrant area. What more needs to be done and what next?
Well, I think my main idea for tonight, or the idea for the vigil, was for everyone to come out, not to hide away, because won't necessarily hide away, but I passed through Melville last night and it was deadly quiet. And my feeling was that's not Melville, and they cannot do that to us. We need to Melville needs to come back. We need to come back. Restaurants need to reopen. We need to carry on. And it's not, and in that way, they in a way that will also be honoring the victims by continuing and saying, we're not going to allow these people to come steal joy and to come steal what is beautiful about Melville and Johannesburg but I think definitely I don't know if it's more policing, more security. I think it's generally a crime. It's not necessarily Melville. I think this is a crime. It's a general problem in our country, and unfortunately, this just happened on our doorstep yesterday morning. But I think Melville has rallied, and the people of Melville, have come out tonight and have shown that we will not be. They will not get us. They won't defeat us with this tragedy.
Thank you so much. That was EMMANUEL, one of the initiators of this night vigil here in remembrance of those victims who lost their lives in the deadly New Year shooting. As we mentioned, this incident occurred in 7th Street in Melville at a popular restaurant. And with me is someone who is a patron of this restaurant, quite popular there as well, and someone who knew the owners as well, CARMEN, ADAM-HOFFMAN. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You've been coming to Melville for quite a long time. You've known Poppy since it opened. How are you feeling tonight when you heard about this incident?
Hasina, it's just such a horrific thing to happen to anybody. And when I heard about this, it was in the early hours of New Year's Eve. I tried to contact my friend. I couldn't hear from her. I contacted the other friends at work here and always come here just to find out who was here and who was alive and if we've lost anyone. And that in itself was quite something. And I then found out that everybody that I knew that worked here and that I was friends with was alive, and I was so relieved, but immediately overtaken with grief when I heard about all the other lives that had been taken and the people that have been injured and seriously injured. Their lives will never be the same. And I just tonight is just it gives us a bit of a release, just to grieve and to grieve with other people about the same things, about our country, the fact that we live in fear, the fact that we have to worry about where we go and what we do and rethink and analyze everything. It's just not a nice thing. I've known Jubi, I call her on her name, for let's say since 2009, and then I was here with her as she went through the throes of finding out how restaurants worked, and then decided to do this. So for me to see all her hard work come to this is like, it just can't be. She doesn't deserve this. She deserves to just be happy, because that's what she wanted, was just to make people happy, to spoil them, to treat them, to let us have birthday parties here and have fun. So I'm also just sad because of a woman that's trying to build a business, and I know what it takes to grow things like that. It doesn't happen overnight, and now Poppies has become a place that doesn't matter who people are. If they come to Joburg, they want to come to Poppies to have fun. So I am just hoping that this season will just come to pass, that she'll be able to pick up the pieces, and that she can be able to go on with what she had in mind, and that it will not be wasted just by someone's idea of what they thought this evening was going to be about. So I hope that will just turn around.
Thank you so much. That was a patron as well as a friend of the restaurant owner here in Melville, speaking to us about the sense of what tonight meant to them, a place to grieve together and find some kind of solace and release tonight after this last few days. It's been, as you heard from my first guest, it was a scene of chaos and franticness here on that evening, quite a tragic and emotional one, and it's just been a build-up since then. We understand, we've heard from the restaurant owners that they've closed indefinitely to allow for police to investigate. Police are still currently searching for the suspects that may be responsible for this shooting. They are following leads. We did see them earlier here at the restaurant during the day, interviewing people. They've said that they've got a lot of support from the community here, as well as eyewitnesses, in trying to find out who may be responsible and bringing them to book. We've also got an update on some of those who are still in hospital. As you heard, some are still in a critical condition, others are a lot more stable. It is quite a heavy evening here, quite an emotional. Many people that were here tonight, not necessarily those that may have been here on New Year's Eve, but just patrons who have come through and have spent a long time, visiting this establishment. And tonight they came in here to give their support, to give solace, and to share in the grief.
Hasina Gori reporting live from Melville, following up on that evolving story. Police are calling for people to come forward with information that may help them identify the perpetrator or perpetrators of that shooting that left 2 women dead and at least 6 people injured.